signed our final divorce papers last week. And I just got notified today that the lawyer sent the papers to the court today to be signed by the judge. Everybody keeps thinking that I'm handling this divorce so well, and I'm not. I'm not okay. Next week would have been our 9-year anniversary. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself. I didn't want this. I never wanted this. And it hurts and it sucks and I'm okay. I know that I'm gonna be okay. But right now it really sucks. And I feel like I can't breathe. So, for those of you who are going through the same thing and have been watching me and telling me that you wish that you had my strength because you're not handling your divorce or your breakup well, just know I'm right there with you. I'm not okay either. But I promise you, someday, we're gonna be okay.
Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional, or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what we expose next. See, this is a pattern we keep watching on repeat. A woman brings up divorce during an argument not as a last resort, but as a power move. It's meant to trigger panic, begging, apologies, concessions, because for years, society has told men, you're lucky she chose you. Don't mess this up. Why the tears now? That's the real question nobody wants to answer. Because a moment ago, divorce wasn't a tragedy, it was a threat. It was leveraged. It was supposed to scare him back into line. But the second he calmly accepts it, suddenly we're in shock mode. Suddenly it's heartbreak season. But here's the twist. This man didn't panic. He didn't chase. He didn't negotiate his self-respect. He simply said, okay. And that single word shattered the illusion. Now the tears come out, not because the marriage mattered so deeply, but because the script flipped. The moment he accepted the divorce, the power dynamic collapsed. The safety net disappeared, and reality rushed in. This is what happens when accountability replaces entitlement. When men stop being afraid of walking away, threats lose their value. And for some people, that realization hits harder than the divorce itself.
20 minutes late. I know that he's getting my text messages because I'm getting the red receipts. I hope he's okay. I don't know, like, how long do I wait? It's been 30 minutes. I tried to call him. I tried to text him. I haven't gotten an answer. So I don't really know what to do. I don't know.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey,
what are you guys doing?
we're at the playground right now. Why, what's up?
So I got stood up,
Oh, jeez.
and he kind of said something that really kind of just fucked me up. And I really just kind of want my kids. If maybe you would bring the kids to come and I can just do it with them instead.
Let me call Mom and let her know what's going on, because, I mean, I think they'd enjoy kayaking, but last time to ask them or let them know, so.
Okay, just let me know.
Alrighty.
All right,
I'll
thanks.
let you know what's going on.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Bye.
This was my first Christmas as a divorced single mom. You want to know how it went? It is currently 8 a.m. on December 26th, and I just woke up an hour ago after sleeping for the last 20 hours. Because this year was Josh's year to have the kids. So I worked
from 10 p.m. till 10:30 a.m. Christmas Eve into Christmas morning, and I came home and then I went to sleep and I didn't wake up until an hour ago because I had nowhere to be and no one to be with. For the last 11 years of my life, my Christmases have been spent with my in-laws because that was the family that I had, and I don't have that anymore. I have one half-sister who I talk to occasionally who is in a completely different state, so couldn't spend Christmas with her. Other than that, I don't have family. And all of my friends were spending Christmas with their families, so I slept. I wish more single parents who had to share their children for the holidays would talk about how much this sucks. And I know it sucks to be the downer of the holiday season, but also because nobody talks about it, I feel like I'm alone in feeling like this, and it really sucks. Anyways, I hope all of you had a much better Christmas than I did, and I am gonna go and find something to do.
Why is divorce suddenly treated like a lifestyle trend instead of a last resort? That's the uncomfortable question sitting at the center of this whole situation. Because listen closely to the language being used here. I needed to find myself. That phrase has become the most socially accepted exit ramp from responsibility in modern relationships. She didn't leave because of abuse. She didn't leave because of neglect. She left chasing a feeling, a vague promise that life on the other side would be more exciting, more validating, more fulfilling. And what did she actually find? Silence, empty space, and the cold realization that freedom without structure often turns into loneliness. What's even more telling is where the focus is. Me, how she feels, how she was unfulfilled, how she needed more. There's barely a pause to consider the ripple effects, not the kids who now grow up. Splitting homes, not the stability that was quietly holding everything together, not the long-term cost of breaking a functional family for short-term emotional relief. And here's the irony no one warns you about. You often don't recognize a good life while you're living it. Stability feels boring when social media is selling chaos as empowerment. A loyal, consistent man starts looking average when you're comparing him to fantasy standards and highlight reels. By the time reality sets in, the choice has already been made. The marriage is gone. The man has moved forward. And the regret shows up late, always late. That's why people are rooting for Josh. Not because he's perfect, but because he represents something rare now. A man who did his part, held the line, and didn't beg to be chosen by someone who already had everything and still wanted more.
It's currently 2 months past divorce. Not divorce, past him abandoning me. Obviously when he first abandoned me, it was hard. Cried a lot. And then I thought I was okay. But now, I'm so angry. So angry. So angry. I don't know what to do with this anger. I don't understand how someone can treat another person like this. Especially someone that you supposedly loved. Where do you go? With a person you trusted and needed most in this life just hates you for no reason. What do I do with this? What do I do with this? I don't know what to do. I can't.
Comment, I deleted it, but I need to respond to it. Someone asked to hear my husband's side. So let me tell you, my husband's side. Well, he loved me and gave me everything he had, and did everything in the world for me. And you know what? I have to tell you though, actually, to his credit, he did do so much for me, except show me love and respect and attention and hold me and kiss me and look at me and communicate with me and try to have conflict resolution ever. He did everything in the world that money could do or he could physically do, but emotionally, he's been gone since month 2, and I happen to be pregnant. So there's that, and that's very typical of the personality type I'm dealing with. There you have it. So I've got a business idea. We need to come up with a robot boyfriend or girlfriend, partner, whatever, for people that are going through a divorce. That way, you don't feel super lonely, and you can like, or is there like a service of men or women, but for me it'd be man, that I could buy to just give me compliments all day and tell me he loves me and everything's gonna be okay, and call me and check on me and like just build me the hell up. And because I don't actually want someone, I just want some affirmation right now. So we need to create a service like this.
Notice what's really happening here. This isn't his side of the story at all. It's her interpretation of his side, which means, by default, we're still only hearing one voice. Her voice filtered through her emotions, her justifications, and her need to be seen as the victim. And that distinction matters, because when someone is fully dependent on external validation, reality becomes flexible. Facts get bent. Intentions get rewritten. Accountability quietly disappears. Everything is framed in a way that preserves the self-image of, I tried my best and he failed me. That's why, no matter how the story is told, the conclusion is always the same. He's the problem. He didn't communicate enough. He didn't show up the right way. He didn't make her feel special enough. Even when she's the one who left, even when she's the one narrating regret, the blame still gets outsourced. This is a classic modern dynamic. When validation comes primarily from outside sources, social media, friends, internet applause, the partner at home becomes a supporting character, not the priority. And the moment that partner stops performing on demand, he's labeled deficient. What you're seeing isn't reflection. It's reputation management. It's the need to control the narrative so the world affirms you were right. Because if the story were told honestly, with equal weight to his perspective, the conclusions might not feel so comfortable. And that's the uncomfortable truth. When everything is about how she feels, accountability never enters the room.
And I hate to be one of those women that come on TikTok and cry, and people are like, why is she doing that? I'll tell you that almost 2 years ago, my ex and I divorced after 23 years of marriage. And it's been almost 2 years. It has been the hardest, most loneliest time of my life. I mean, if somebody would have said that I would feel and walked through what I have walked through, I would have said, no, I won't, because I will not make it. I will not survive very long. I just pulled in my driveway from work, and I don't want to go inside because my kids aren't home this week. I also, when I look to the left, I see our basketball court and 2 basketballs in the yard. And I'm not going to move those. They're reminders of these precious children that I have. And that I can't stop. But man, times like this suck when I don't want to go inside my home because there's no one to go home to. No one is in there waiting for me. I will not be greeted by anybody. And that is a really hard place to be. So, I don't have any like crazy magic words that'll make you feel better if you're experiencing that. Just know that you're not alone, and these feelings, we all know they come and go. Last night I pulled into my driveway just feeling fine. I was actually a little bit excited that I just had the night to myself. But today it just hit me. You just never plan on things like this happening. So again, I don't have anything earth-shattering to tell you except that you are not alone in those feelings, and probably an important thing to do is to reach out to somebody that's healthy, not just anybody. While I think it's important to sit in those feelings and that grief, because there's so much growth.
You miss the empty home now, the silence, the absence, the lack of warmth. But what's conveniently forgotten is how that same home felt before the divorce. Because empty doesn't happen overnight. It's built slowly through tension, constant dissatisfaction, and emotional pressure that drains the life out of the space. This is the part of the story that rarely gets acknowledged. It's easy to romanticize what's gone when you're no longer living in the consequences of your own behavior. But back then, that house wasn't peaceful for him. It wasn't calm. It wasn't safe emotionally. It was a place where he was constantly reminded that he wasn't enough, wasn't doing enough, and somehow always falling short. And here's the irony. The same environment that's now being mourned is the one that was made unbearable. Appreciation shows up after the stability is gone. Gratitude arrives after the man has checked out, moved on, or emotionally detached. That's not growth. That's hindsight. This is why regret hits so hard, because once the noise is gone, once there's no one left to blame or argue with, you're left alone with the truth. And the truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes the home didn't fall apart because it lacked love. It fell apart because it was slowly suffocated. Missing the quiet doesn't erase the chaos that came before it. And remembering only the ending while ignoring your role in the middle is how the lesson gets repeated instead of learned.
The drama of a single life. Seriously, this is why I'm going to be single forever. If I can't get over this. Okay, so I don't do the online dating thing. Like, it stresses me out, so I just don't do it. Plus, it doesn't feel good for me. So that means I have to meet people in the wild. So I met a guy, and we've been chatting for a couple of weeks, and then he asked if he could give me my phone number, if we could hang out outside of where I met him. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then he was like, okay, see you later, friend. So I'm like under the assumption this is like a friend thing, right? Which is totally cool. I'm 100% okay with that, but it still is leading me to this dilemma. Your girl doesn't want to get ready to go out. I'm legit in my workout clothes, and I'm comfortable. And now I gotta go put makeup on and do my hair and come up with an outfit. And that is a lot of freaking work. But if I ever want to not be single, not that this is a real date, because it's not, but I do need to like get out in public, right? Are there any other singles out there that can relate to this?
A man flew me out to California for a date, like a whole weekend. We're having a great time, okay? Wine tasting, all this stuff, meeting friends. At the wine tasting, we're at like our second spot. We're a little buzzed, whatever. The truth starts coming out, right? I'm mid-sip. He's like, I need to tell you something. What do you need to tell me? Well, you need to know that you're a 6. Excuse me, what do you mean I'm a 6? No, you need to know that your looks qualify you as a 6. And I was like, why are you telling, this is kind of inappropriate. And like, why are you telling me that? He's like, you just need to know your place, that you're a 6. What? You flew me out here to see me. You're attracted to me. You wanted to see me, and now you're telling me that I need to know my place and that I'm a 6? What? I'm sorry. What? Anyways, I then continued to...
Exactly. Too much idle time creates a vacuum, and the mind will always fill a vacuum. When there's no structure, no purpose, no daily mission, people don't reflect, they ruminate, and rumination turns into dissatisfaction real fast. A lazy mind doesn't sit still. It starts inventing problems. It starts obsessing over what could be happening, what should be happening, what social media says everyone else is experiencing. Suddenly, stability feels like stagnation. Peace feels like boredom. Consistency gets mislabeled as a lack of passion. This is where things go sideways. Instead of building, people start nitpicking. Instead of gratitude, comparison takes over. And once comparison enters the picture, contentment quietly leaves the room. The relationship hasn't changed, but the perception has. What makes it dangerous is that none of this feels irrational in the moment. It feels justified. It feels like self-awareness or growth, but in reality, it's unmanaged time mixed with external noise and no internal discipline. Productive people don't have the luxury of creating chaos out of boredom. Purpose anchors the mind. Responsibility gives direction. But when those are missing, the mind turns inward and starts sabotaging the very life it once prayed for. That's the warning here. It's not always hatred or trauma that breaks relationships. Sometimes it's simply too much time, too little purpose, and a mind left unchecked.
One thing that drains a man faster than anything else in a relationship. Yeah. And most women do it every single day without realizing. Yeah. It's not about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. Mm-hmm. The tone of voice. A lot of women don't realize they've stopped using that soft, warm voice with their man. Yeah. Everything comes out sharp. Complaining about this, nagging about that, bringing up what he didn't do. And when was the last time you said something genuinely positive? Mm-hmm. Not sarcastic, not backhanded, just appreciative. Most of the time it's 90% critical and maybe 10% positive, if that. Yeah. And then we wonder why he seems distant or checked out. Yeah. That constant negativity, it's draining. Every man needs a place where he feels safe, respected, and welcomed, not spoken to like he's already failed before he even tries. Because when a man feels valued, he naturally gives more, loves harder, and shows up better, and it brings out the version of him you always wanted. Yeah. Your man craves your softness, your warmth. He needs to feel like you actually like him.
At least he was honest, and that honesty matters more than people want to admit. Saying 6 is actually generous when you look at how these situations usually play out. Because optimism sounds nice, but realism is what keeps people grounded. What he's really acknowledging is the gap between expectations and reality. When someone believes the grass is greener, they tend to overestimate their options and underestimate the value of what they already had. So calling it a 6 isn't disrespect, it's restraint. It's a polite way of saying, the fantasy doesn't match the marketplace. This is where a lot of people get uncomfortable because modern culture pushes constant affirmation. Everyone is told they're a 10. Everyone is told they deserve more. But real life doesn't run on slogans. It runs on outcomes. And outcomes don't care about feelings. Honesty like this cuts through delusion. It reminds us that attraction, commitment, and long-term partnership are influenced by effort, attitude, and accountability, not just self-perception. When someone inflates their own value without doing the work, reality eventually corrects the math. So yes, 6 is optimistic, not because it's cruel, but because it's measured. And in a world addicted to overconfidence and external validation, measured honesty sounds harsh even when it's the most respectful thing in the room.
And consider divorce as soon as they hit this one specific part of life, perimenopause, the good old change. That's according to healthcare company Miro, which surveyed nearly 900 women on how their relationships changed once perimenopause began, which typically starts in the late 40s. The short version, it ain't good. 59% reported more conflict and less intimacy, and 42% said the stress, fatigue, and lower patience that comes with perimenopause made parenting exponentially more difficult, which of course only exacerbates the relationship problems. But even worse, 77% of women said they felt like their male partners didn't get what they were going through. Which, you know, given what a total upheaval to a woman's life perimenopause can be, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, well, when your partner can't even help support you through it, that's pretty isolating. And on top of that, in a 2022 UK survey of divorced women, 70% said the onset of perimenopause worsened already existing problems in their marriage, including issues of abuse. So it's not really a surprise that for most women, the next stop after going to the doctor for perimenopause treatment is to march into the nearest divorce attorney's office. Doctors and experts say that perimenopause is very poorly misunderstood anyway, including by women themselves. But judging from these statistics, seems like when it comes to relationships, it's understood.
A lot of men do understand this, far more than people give them credit for. They understand the expectations. They understand the pressure. They understand that they're often judged not just on who they are, but on what they can provide, absorb, or tolerate. And that understanding doesn't make it easier. It makes it heavier. Because here's the exhausting part. being the constant target, the emotional punching bag, the default problem solver who's also blamed when things don't feel exciting enough, passionate enough, or validating enough, even when he's doing his part, showing up, staying consistent, and keeping the family stable. The spotlight is still on what he's not doing. That wears a man down over time, not dramatically, quietly. It's the slow erosion of enthusiasm when nothing ever feels sufficient, when peace is mistaken for complacency, when loyalty is treated as a baseline instead of a virtue. And this is where a lot of men mentally check out, not because they don't care, but because they're tired of defending their value in a relationship they're already committed to. Constant critique without appreciation doesn't inspire growth. It creates emotional distance. This is the part that rarely gets acknowledged in these conversations. Men aren't confused, they're fatigued. Fatigued from being measured against moving goalposts. Fatigued from being told they're the problem, while being expected to hold everything together. And eventually, exhaustion turns into clarity. When a man realizes that peace might only be possible away from the place he's constantly targeted, he stops arguing and starts detaching. That's usually when people say, he changed. No, he just got tired.
50% of divorces that happen over 40 are initiated by women. Okay, why is that? Well, as she loses these hormones, there are so many brain changes that are happening. And because she doesn't understand herself, she thinks it's your problem. She thinks it's her teenage kid's problems. She thinks it's her aging parents' problem. She thinks it's work's problem. She doesn't go, oh, okay, wait, I've got some neurochemical changes going on in my brain that I need to make sure that my lifestyle supports. Since that conversation isn't open, she turns on everybody else. For years, I had so many women that came into my clinic and they said, whatever you do, please help me stay out of my doctor's office. And I was like, why? Because they don't understand me. And when they don't understand me, all they do is give me an antidepressant. And I feel so lost in what I'm supposed to do to help my own brain health, help my own body health. And we start dishing out supplements and prescriptions when there's a lifestyle that women are working.
60 to 70% of divorces are initiated by women after the age of 40. Let that hit you in the face. Women are straight up dumping their husbands once the kids are grown and the hormones start doing backflips and cartwheels. This is the latest data. Women initiate about 69% of divorces, and among couples over 50, that gray divorce, that number stays roughly the same, around 66 to 70%. And in many cases, men are blindsided while the woman was emotionally checked out long before the papers were filed. Why? Here's the brutal truth. The first reason is she is done with your If you stopped taking her on dates, stopped taking care of yourself, came home, grabbed the phone, cracked the beer, ate the chips, and zoned out on the game while she handled the house, the kids, the emotions, everything, she's over it. You became her roommate with a friggin' pulse. She's tired of being your maid and or your mom, and she knows that she deserves better. The second reason, if you married her at 22, what did you expect to happen 30 years later? She's a completely different person. New passions, new confidence, new boundaries. If you did not grow with her, if you stayed stuck in the same habits, you weren't improving yourself, your sex game went stale, you stopped being adventurous, she got bored. She evolved and you didn't. And she's not settling for that old version of you anymore. Third reason is menopause. That's the final straw. Her hormones flip, her tolerance crashes, every ignored problem explodes. And if you are not helping her level her hormones, she's gone. And the fourth reason, she's got her own money. She's also have her own friends and her own life, and you let her work like a man just like you. And then why would she depend on you anymore? She was a wife, a mom, and busting her ass, working full time every day for years. She carried it all. Now she's fried. No more staying for the kids or the mortgage. She's gone. Here's a little bit of more data for you. Post-divorce, only 27% of women regret it. Men, 39% do. So more women are happy that they chose to divorce versus the ones who didn't. And here's some instruction for you. Don't marry young and clueless. Date long. Grow together. Step up every day. Dates, effort, self-care, adventure, intimacy, and polarity. and communicate, evolve, talk, and be honest with her.
And there it is, the familiar closing line wrapped in sarcasm. Wow, it's all our fault again. That sentence alone tells you everything about the mindset. Because instead of sitting with accountability, it immediately shifts into deflection. If responsibility feels uncomfortable, just turn it into irony and move on. This is how the cycle stays intact. A surface-level acknowledgement of blame, followed by zero ownership. No. Pause to ask, what could I have done differently? No reflection on patterns, choices, or consequences. Just a quick emotional shrug and a smooth exit. Then comes the outro. Like, subscribe, share, drop your stories, and notice what's being invited. Validation, agreement, applause, a comment section filled with reinforcement, not challenge. Because when accountability is crowdsourced, it usually gets diluted. Everyone becomes a victim together, and no one has to change. This is bigger than one video or one relationship. It's a cultural habit. When discomfort shows up, we monetize it, reframe it, and keep moving instead of confronting it. Growth requires friction. Reflection requires silence. But silence doesn't trend, and friction doesn't always feel empowering. So the story ends neatly. Credits roll. Tomorrow, there's another episode. But the underlying issue remains untouched. Because until responsibility stops feeling like an attack, and accountability stops being treated like oppression, the same outcomes will keep repeating. And that's the real takeaway. Most people scroll past